As some of you may know, Thomas and the Magic Railroad had its 25th anniversary back in July of this year. At that time I was on vacation and I had completely forgotten about it as I already had other videos in the works at the time. Regardless of how late I am to this, I still want to put something out for the occasion because this movie, regardless of the flaws I think it has, means so much to me. I've already talked about this movie a couple times in the past, so I won't be reviewing Magic Railroad much. I want to more so focus this video on my personal connections with the film and also just talk about stuff related to the movie in general. With that in mind, I think it's most fitting I start this video by talking about how I was first exposed to the movie. When I was around 5 to 7 years old, I remember going with my family to a resort to stay for one night. On the drive there, my mom randomly pulled out an American DVD copy of Thomas and the Magic Railroad that was given to her by a friend who did need it and gave it to me. After we arrived and did some activities around the resort, we came back to our hotel room where I decided to watch the DVD on the TV we had in our room. As a mildly obsessed Thomas fan at that age, it's needless to say I absolutely loved it, so much to a point where I asked my parents to watch it with me again. Since that point, I would watch the movie religiously whenever I could, regardless of the amount of times I had seen it. Some of my favorite memories as a kid were recreating scenes from the movie with my merchandise, most notably the Toby at the smelting shed scene, and especially the chase scene. I still remember watching loads of old train/IRL remakes of the scene, and while some are quite dated to say the least, I would still enjoy them regardless. On the topic of merchandise, now is a perfect segue into talking about some items I've accumulated based on the movie over the course of my life. Also, just to note, most items I'll be shown are only items made for Magic Railroad, so that means items like the 2005 Wooden Railway Lady won't be here since it was made for Calling Legends. And in case you're wondering, yes, I do own a 2005 Lady. With that in mind, here's what I've acquired. Alright, so starting us off, we'll start with my home media collection. So first and foremost, we have my first ever copy of Thomas and Magic Railroad, the copy that introduced me to the movie. Unfortunately, a couple years back, I had lost the disc, but I still do have the case, and I'm probably going to hold on to this for as long as I possibly can. So, yeah, it is right here. Then, the next copy I have is the Canadian release of the movie. This one I got from my grandparents' house, which I just had lying around and didn't need anymore, obviously, so I decided to give it to me. And, yeah, everything else is still intact. Ever since I had lost that disc, this was my main copy for a while, but eventually that would soon change later on, as I will show later. And then the next copy I have is another Canadian release. The difference with this one, though, is that the spine is slightly different. If you look at these two side by side, you can see that, yeah, they use different. Let me just camera focus. Camera. Let me see. Come on, camera. Focus. Okay, you can probably see from this. You probably see it from this angle here, probably. Yeah, they use different promotional images for the side angle here. I decided to just buy some at this store because I just felt like getting one with a different spine. I don't know why I did. But yeah, regardless, I have another copy of the movie. And then next, I have my Canadian copy of the VHS this time around with the clamshell. This one's in pretty good shape. It has VHS and everything. Besides this little flap right here. Yeah, this has surprised me. The only copy I have of it on VHS, surprisingly. But regardless, still happy to have it. Then next we have my second American copy, which this time around actually has the disc. I got this a couple years back from a thrift store. I was ecstatic to finally have this movie again in my possession ever since losing that disc. And words cannot describe the absolute wave of nostalgia I had looking for all these bonus features and just watching the movie and the original quality it wasn't on this. So, yeah. And then next we have my fourth Canadian copy of the release. This time I got it with the Thomas logo being, or the Thomas emblem here being on top to match better with other releases. And also it came with this little pamphlet which showed all the different scenes just on a pamphlet. I don't know why that's there, but I just thought it was like a little pretty cool novelty. And ever since, this is pretty much my main version of the Canadian release. So yeah. And then finally wrapping up the home media, and if you guys have followed up my shorts, you may know that I got the Blu-ray copy of Thomas and Magic Railroad for my birthday. And this was certainly an experience, you know, seeing all the deleted scenes from the director's cut and watching the movie in 4K was honestly such a surreal experience. yeah, very, very happy to have this finally. Alright, now the whole media done, I say we move on to the merchandise. Now this one you guys probably saw from the diecast video, or the take along and take and play collection video. But if you guys haven't, this is my take along lady, which needless to say is in absolutely horrible condition. Funny enough, I actually found this in my backyard a couple years back, and for the longest time I had no idea where this thing went, so I'm honestly kind of just surprised some of this paint has even stayed intact after all this time. But yeah, I know this thing's in horrible condition and I will replace it someday. I'm still going to hold on to this. It's a childhood copy. How can I not? Even the condition is the way it is. So yeah, there's Lady. And then we also have the take-along Diesel 10, which I actually got way more recently, who is in pretty good shape for what he is. His pinch is a little bit stiff, but I think that kind of just shows that this thing wasn't used as much, so hey, at least I got it in good shape, which is pretty surprising for a thrift store. But yeah, then next we have my Ertl Diesel 10. Now this one has a really interesting story. So while back when I was a kid, I remember seeing a thumbnail, a YouTube thumbnail with the Bandai Tech Diesel 10. Now I had no idea what Bandai Tech was and assumed that it was the Ertl copy, and which it obviously wasn't. But regardless, I asked Mom if we could get the Ertl version. We bought it online off eBay, and even though I'd seen the picture, I still decided to buy it anyways. And I got it in person. I was like, okay, it isn't the same one, but I guess I'll take it. So yeah, but outside of that little story, I'm gonna be brutally honest. This is probably one of Ertl's worst models they ever did. Not like, I will give him one thing: the face is pretty good, but everything else, man. Like, I understand this is reused from the D199 and Class 40 models, but why does he have like 16 wheels and a pinchy that looks like a block of tofu? Like, I can't defend this anymore. Also, just for the other thing here, the buffers have unfortunately came off over time. So needless to say, despite everything, I did get a good amount of playtime out of this. So yeah. And then next we have my wooden railway models right over here. So the first two we have are the original Lady and Diesel 10. These two I got off an online thrift store I cannot remember the name of. And yeah, they're both still in pretty good shape. The Diesel 10 I used around quite a bit, and I even tried fixing it myself with some paint I had. You can't really see it, but yeah, I did. The stupid camera will actually cooperate. But yeah, no, glad to still have these. And then we have the other two wooden railway models of Splatter and Dodge. The Dodge I got from a close friend of mine who didn't need this, and it had just lying around in this house. And the Splatter I got from an eBay listing a couple years back. So yeah, now I have all the Magic Road newbies. So it's pretty cool. Happy knows what guys are here. Alright, now moving on, we're getting into the extra stuff. So first of all, I can just grab it here, the Thomas and the Magic Railroad book. I used to have this at my school library actually when I was a kid, but unfortunately they ended up losing it and they just did not have it anymore. So eventually I decided, once I found it online, I would try picking it up. It was only like $3, pretty worth it. This book's in great shape. Definitely had a great wave of nostalgia looking for this thing. Surprised not enough people talk about this thing. And then finally, wrapping off the Magic Railroad collection, we have the Thomas and the Magic Railroad board game. Now this one here is my childhood copy, which you can tell by how beaten up it is. And I had a great amount of playtime out of this thing. There were pieces that were missing in the box. It was an absolute wreck, but still happy to have had it regardless. I had no idea they'd made a board game out of this, so finding this was a pretty interesting experience. But regardless, I think a couple years back now, I ended up finding a second copy in way better condition. Yeah, there's still tape on it, obviously. But regardless, it actually had all the pieces included with it, which is pretty nice. And it included one extra other thing, which I find very interesting. If I can just pull it out here. Let me see. Here it is right here. I kid you not, when I found this, they had an instruction booklet to the Muffle Mountain set. There's no way it can be that big of a coincidence. Like, this is literally the original thing right here. Unfortunately, they didn't have this set. I looked so much to try and find it, but no, they just didn't have it. Regardless, I'm glad to at least have the pamphlet and also just have this whole entire thing complete. So yeah, hey guys, just another extra thing I forgot to throw in there, which I'm surprised I forgot these, but these are the Thomas and the Magic Road Subway toys, or two of them at least. I have the Diesel 10 and the Lady, and both of them start pretty well. Diesel 10 still has his pullback feature. Yeah, there he goes a bit. And then Lady still has a little whistle thing, but you have to tap it very lightly for it to actually work properly. But yeah, both of these, oh there it goes. But yeah, both of these are in very nice shape for the fact that 25 years old. I got these for Christmas a couple years back. My mom said she actually found these at a thrift store somehow, so pretty good pull. But yeah, though, I just wanted to throw that in there before moving on. I'm surprised I ever got these, but yeah, here they are. With that in mind, that is all of my Magic Road merchandise I've obtained over my life. Quite a fair amount here, but now, switching over to the commentary side, I think we start talking about the director's cut of the movie, or, most notably, the Magic Road Director's Cut fan project by Cardi. If you've been following up with the community this year, it's pretty likely you're aware of the Magic Road project being done by Cardi and Joseph, who were also responsible for the Unlikely Fandom documentary. For those unaware, Brandon Cardi and Joseph Marshall have both been uncovering and restoring dozens of deleted scenes from the original director's cut of Thomas and Magic Road for the past couple months to hopefully complete the final movie Britt originally wanted. Not only is this a great tribute, but it also lets us see more never before seen footage of the director's cut and its development. Basing off everything we have gotten from both this project and the numerous scenes leaked over many years, this movie is going to be extremely different from what we got. Getting to the obvious, a human character named P.T. Boomer was originally going to be the main villain of the film, with Diesel 10 only being a side villain. The movie was originally going to be narrated by Lily when she became an adult. The voice cast was entirely different, even retaining voice work from Michael and Jalis. Many other Thomas characters were meant to appear, including Cranky and even George, and this is only scratching the surface. If you want to learn or see more about the director's cut, I recommend checking out the Magic Road channel by Cardi, that has continued revealing more lost media and content on the movie. As for my thoughts of what we have seen and know about the original cut, I think as a movie plot it does sound really good, but my main problem with it is that it doesn't feel like a Thomas movie. Now, no disrespect to Britt or the movie itself 100%, but I do wish they revolved the movie more around Thomas. This was something I also didn't like about the final film, but it is still, and in some ways, more relevant here. However, with that in mind, I don't want to be negative about the movie, as there are genuine things I do like. First of all, I think the voice cast they chose was really well done. I heard people say the characters sound too old, but honestly they sound near perfect for these characters' personalities. Secondly, I really like the extra scenes of Burnett. They really show what his bonds and mental state are like, with things like his interactions with Lily and the flashback sequences with his deceased wife. One of my favorite aspects of Magic Road, as some of you may know, is Diesel 10, so I'm happy to report that his director's cut variant is really good. Joe Matheson and Keith Scott do really good at making him feel both very threatening but still retaining a decent amount of his comedic side. I'd even go as far as to say he fits the roles better than Neil Crone, but I'm still conflicted. Regardless of my opinions, we are yet to still see the final film, but when it comes out and I get a chance to watch it, my thoughts could very much change, but we'll just have to wait until 2026. If you guys want to support the project, I have a website which you can find in descriptions of most videos posted by the Magic Road channel, where you can donate and buy merch to help support the project. Also, just to note, I was not told to say any of this. I genuinely want this project to get as much recognition as possible. Thomas and Magic Road is one of the most nostalgic pieces of media to me, and is easily one of my most overwatched movies of all time. This movie means so much to me, not just because of my pure nostalgia for it, but it also introduced me to so much stuff that still carries with me now. It introduced me to characters that I hold in high regard, it proved me further how great Thomas music can be, the content I saw for it showed me how talented the Thomas fandom really is, and most of all, it's what kept me a Thomas fan for as long as I was. I would watch this movie on occasion even if I wasn't as interested in the series at certain times. I would still stay connected with Thomas content all because of those chasing remakes from all that time ago. This movie has genuinely had an impact on my life with how much I endorsed it as a child. The thought of it still gaining recognition as far as 25 years later shows how much this has impacted the Thomas fanbase as a whole. The movie, like most things, isn't perfect, but the impact it had on me certainly was perfect.
For some things never leave you, they stay